Hi guys, Ron here and welcome to the workshop. Today we've got another bike comparison on our hands, and now I'll be comparing a thoroughly modern aero road bike to a traditional classic shape race bike. And I'm also going to give you an answer. There have been a couple of questions. Why do I prefer aero bikes so much? So let's delve into the comparison and give you some more details. So traditionally, road bikes were designed to be light and stiff, but mainly light. And the reason for that is most races are decided in the climbing parts of the race, when there is a bit of difficulty going uphill. But of course, the UCI has the minimum weight limit of 6.8 kilos, so the bike you can see here is just slightly above. So it's around 6.9 kilos, so very light, but on the safe side. It's a Look 785 Hues RS. As you can see, it uses some pretty heavy wheels, pretty heavy saddle, not the lightest of components. The reason for that is that the frame is super light, so in order to have a raceable weight, you need these basically kind of mid-range components just to bring it up. And in my mind, that doesn't really make sense. I'm going to get back to why a bit later on. Of course, it also can be built much lighter. I think in the region of 6 kilos, maybe even under, would be no problem, while still having a usable setup. For example, you can use the Berg saddle that I use, you can use a light seat post, super light handlebar, stamp, perhaps a one-piece cockpit. Those are very light. For example, the one from Bontrager, 230 grams. The Z cranks are very light. Of course, you would need a power meter on there. That does add a bit of weight, but you have to use that if you want this bike to be usable. Then, of course, some light tubular wheel set, and I think easily you're below 6 kilos with this 780 gram frame set, plus the very light cranks. So overall, a lot of room for lightness. Stiffness is also there, I'm pretty sure. I haven't actually ridden this bike yet, but I will. And rim brakes also, the lighter version or option available today. And on the other hand, we've got my bike, which is, as you know, the S-Works Venge, completely polar opposite of this bike. So computer optimized aero frame, aero stem, aero handlebar, hydraulic disc brakes, super deep wheels, one by drivetrain aero crank and chainring setup. So yeah, basically on the complete opposite end of the scale. So what do you gain? What do you lose? And this is where the lightweight bike fails to be interesting to me. Because if you want to go up a very steep, very draggy, very slow climb, a lighter bike will be slightly faster. If you want to go up any other climb and you're reasonably fit, an aero bike will be just as fast or a little bit faster. If you want to go on the flat, the aero bike will be faster. If you want to go downhill, the aero bike will be much faster. If you want to sprint, the aero bike will be faster. If you want to attack, the aero bike will be faster. Well, should I go on? Well, I will, because some people still point to the weight. Well, to that I can say that despite disc brakes, the aero frame, the aero wheels, etc., this bike is just 200 grams heavier. And you might say that's a very sizable difference. And people also say that the drag of the bike is just a very small portion of the drag of your whole system, rider and bike. That's not really true. And it's not really true in this context where you think that 200 grams matter, because for me, I'm a 60 kilo rider with all of my equipment, 2 full bottle cages, etc. My system weight is around 78 kilos maybe, with, yeah, as I said, shoes, gear, bike, water, everything together. Now 200 grams is an extremely small portion of that, much smaller than the amount of drag coming from the bike proportionally to the amount of drag coming from a body. So this is where the gains are made, and some people, well, most people don't realize that. Then you have the added benefit of better brakes, possibly more comfort, because, well, I haven't ridden this one, but I've ridden some lightweight bikes. Some of them are quite chattery, to be honest. So at this point, I think you can probably see why the lightweight bikes no longer make a lot of sense to me. Of course, I previously mentioned that if you don't race the UCI races, you can have a super light bike made out of this one, for example, like a 5.5 kilo super light bike. But again, that bike will only be fast going up steep climbs, probably above 10%, which, at least where I live, are few and far between. Of course, many places have short, steep climbs. There are many even where I live, but there you're coming in at speed, you power up the climb at high speed, and you leave on the other side at even higher speed. So again, the aerodynamics win over there. So yeah, it is possible to have a light bike for climbing. Maybe in the Alps it does work. If you're a Grand Tour rider, then those 200 grams may be worth to you, because on the flat bits the team will drag you along. But in every other case, and for me always, aero is the king. So this is my opinion. I think it's based on not just my experiences, but also some hard science. But of course, feel free to disprove that in the comment section down below. If you want to know more about my bikes, or the ones that I build for myself and others, then don't forget to tune into the channel and subscribe. It's all for today. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.